Hi everyone. Um, Today I wanted to do a quick, uh, brief chat about the latest book that I finished. It's actually a novella called The Wandering Earth by Liu Cixin. Cixin, I think. Uh, anyway, I hope I pronounced that close to being right. Here's the cover of it. I read it electronically. I hope you can see that, because we have our usual glare whenever I do an electronic. Trying to show you my cover here. I think it's got a very cool cover. It's the earth, sort of like a dandelion plant with dandelion seeds around it, and I think that's very appropriate for this book, considering what it's about. So I came across this book because it was mentioned in the blog of David Brin, who is it's David Brin, the science fiction author, and who writes a blog that I periodically check in with. And I saw this listed on his blog like months and months and months ago, and so I put it on my reading list for this year. I wanted to make sure and read it this year, because one thing I'm trying to do is I'm trying to read specifically science fiction and fantasy from multiple points of view. So this particular author is from China. So I think this book was originally published, in China. Um, I really was curious to read it because it would be the first sort of science fiction fantasy book that I had read by a Chinese author. So that's why I picked it up and originally, and I'm really glad that I did, because it's a novella. So like I said, it's very it's therefore relatively quick to read. It's probably, I don't know, 100. I read it electronically, so I didn't actually get the page numbers, but I would say I definitely read it in two sittings, so it's not that long. But the thing about it is, let's just pretend for a minute that I happened across a book genie. There was a book genie that I came across, and this book genie decided to give me three wishes for books. And one of my wishes, let's say I wanted to read a book that was by an author with coming from a different point of view than what I'm used to reading. A book that really reads like a novel with a dense story, but yet it's easy and quick to read, and that had a really compelling sort of page-turning story, and at the same time be deeply philosophical. I think if I wish for those things to a book genie, probably one of the books that might appear in front of me would be this book, because that really sort of describes the book. It read really like a full novel, even though it was just a novella, like I said. So my the brief synopsis of the book, though. The book is basically about our Earth in the far distant future, where it's told from the point of view of this one character who starts out as a child in the book. And what has happened is the scientists of Earth have figured out that the sun is about to go through its rapid burn cycle and become a red giant. And I think they have something like 300 or 400 years to make a plan of what to do. And so the plan that they decide to do is to stop the Earth's rotation and eventually propel it out of orbit and go to the nearest star system, Proxima Centauri, I think is where they're headed. So the book takes place. This child. It starts with this child. This boy is a child, and it's at this point. The book starts at the point where the Earth's rotation is about to stop. So that's where we start with the book. So, I won't give away anything else because it's a novella. It would be very, very, very easy to tell you the whole story, but I don't really want to do that. My experience with the book, though, reading it, it's really a philosophical novella. I don't want to scare anyone away who might not like philosophical science fiction, but it also reads, it's very compelling. It's a very dense story. Like I said, it's not that long. It's a novella, but it reads. There's a lot of story packed into this small space, and much of it's philosophical. So it deals with a couple of. I think it deals with a couple of, without giving anything away in spoilers. I think that the novel itself, the subject matter in the novel, in my experience, the way I interpret it, it has two sort of main themes. One is transience and change, and then the other one is the other main theme is truth. So just before I go into the truth, I wanted to read one paragraph. I think that's just really beautifully written. Number one, and number two, it really sort of illustrates this, and it's not a spoiler, but it sort of illustrates this theme of transience. So this is the paragraph. Let me set it up. He's actually another character is blowing bubbles, like soap bubbles, like children, and he's looking at one of the bubbles, and so this is where we pick up the story. So he says, "I stared at the bubbles, watching the raging waves of color and light play over their surfaces, their twisting turbulences far too complex and intricate for the human mind to take in. I could not shake the thought that the bubbles knew how short their lives would be, and were frenziedly revealing the countless dreams and legends of their vast memories to the world. Seconds later, the raging waves of color and light disappeared in a nearly soundless explosion, leaving behind only the tiniest wisp. They remained for less than a second before disappearing, and then there was no trace that anything had ever existed." I just think that's really beautiful. It's not just the transient, that bubble, like that imagery, that metaphor of the bubble, with all of its complex light and movement. It could be a person's life. That's this short thing, and he says that the bubble's trying to express all of its vast memories and its vast, sort of ocean of experience and ocean in a relatively short time, and but then it blinks out, and then it's just the memory of it's there for a second, and then it's gone. And to me, that could really be it's really, really a beautiful metaphor for the transience of not just life, but really all sorts of things. Because this could be, Earth even. Because all things, are in flux constantly. And so I thought that was just really beautiful. And then, the other kind of big philosophical, big idea that I pulled from this book was the idea of truth, and specifically what is truth, and sort of the perils of thinking that one knows a truth, and then also, really the perils of an individual knowing, thinking they know what truth is, and also when whole groups of people think they know a truth, and how that can influence their behavior if they think they actually have a hold of the truth. And even if they've gone, to exhaustive, they really think that they have done their homework, and they know what that they really deeply believe that they have a capital T truth, and what dangers lie in that, and then what dangers lie in not trying to figure out a truth. So that's sort of the conundrum there. So I think that's where I'll stop with this brief brief chat, this brief work. That it's a brief novella. Like I said, a lot of story packed in there, though. It was a great experience for me. I definitely will read some more from this author. This particular author, Liu Cixin, which I'm probably butchering that name, but actually, I believe won a Hugo a number of years ago for the name of that book is escaping me, but it wasn't this one, I don't think. So, but I will definitely be reading some more of his work because it was, to me, it was really beautifully written and really conveyed a lot of ideas in a very concise way, which I really liked that. Really enjoyed that. So more stuff coming up, and until then, I'll see you soon. Bye.